Bob Cicherillo, I do have to be critical of one thing. I actually saw Krizo doing the Sergio victory pose. This was not a good idea, bro. Let me tell you something, okay? Even as good as Lee Priest is, and I know we've all had our battles with Lee, that pose for Lee was okay. It wasn't Sergio, okay? There's been one guy in history that I've seen who could hit that pose and look that good, sort of Steve Reeves himself, because Steve Reeves was the originator of a similar pose like that. But nobody touched Sergio, not even Lee Priest, in that pose. Krizo's got no business hitting that pose. Just take that out of your repertoire. Don't put your arms up over your head when you have a square waist like that. It was not a good pose. Sean Ray, yeah, sometimes you don't know it until you see the pictures and the videos. I'm sure he probably knows it now, but there are a lot of big guys trying to do ballerina poses that don't look right. But, you know, they've got to go through it to understand not to do that. In the world of bodybuilding, posing is as much about identity as it is about muscle. One iconic move is the so-called victory pose made famous by Sergio Oliva, a gesture that's more than a flex, it's a legacy. Recently, Bob Cicherillo took to social media to critique Krizo's attempt at that particular pose, sparking a discussion about imitation, originality and what works, or doesn't, on the competitive stage. Bob's take: this was not a good idea, bro. Cicherillo opened with a blunt admonition. I actually saw Krizo doing the Sergio victory pose. This was not a good idea, bro. Facebook. He goes on to explain that even when some athletes have the body to make bold posing choices, not all poses suit all physiques. He referenced Lee Priest, saying, even as good as Lee Priest is, that pose for Lee was okay. It wasn't Sergio, okay? But nobody touched Sergio, not even Lee Priest, in that pose. In other words, Cicherillo asserts that the Sergio victory pose belongs to a bygone era and to a physique uniquely suited to it. He advises Krizo, just take that out of your repertoire. Don't put your arms up over your head when you have a square waist like that. It was not a good pose. Why does Cicherillo feel so strongly? The original pose is tied to Sergio Oliva's physique, extremely narrow waist, broad lats, a flowing V-shape. Modern athletes may have incredible muscularity, but if their waist, proportions or muscle lines differ, certain poses can look forced or awkward. Posing is part performance, part legacy. Attempting a signature move without the physical language may backfire rather than elevate. Sean Ray's comment: learning by seeing it in pictures. Joining the conversation, Sean Ray chimed in with a broader observation about posing and presentation. Yeah, sometimes you don't know it until you see the pictures and the videos. There are a lot of big guys trying to do ballerina poses that don't look right. Ray highlights a key point: you might think a pose looks good in the mirror or on stage, but when captured in photos or video, flaws become obvious. His comment suggests posing should be tested in different formats, live, photo, video, before being committed on a big stage. Just because a pose is cool or iconic doesn't mean it makes sense for you. There is a process of trial and error, you've got to go through it, before discovering which poses truly work for your build. What can we learn from this exchange? Posing must be personalized. Great competitors don't just copy what's worked for legends, they adapt moves based on their own build, strengths, and lines. Legacy doesn't equal formula. Many poses carry historical weight, but that doesn't mean they translate perfectly to modern frames. Testing matters. As Sean Ray says, you might think a pose is working, but the camera doesn't lie. Photos and videos will reveal flaws you didn't notice live. Know your strengths and stick to them. If you have a square waist and the arms overhead pose doesn't enhance your silhouette, it might be wiser to skip it. In calling out Krizo's attempt at the Sergio victory pose, Bob Cicherillo reminds us that bodybuilding posing isn't just about copying the greats, it's about understanding why a pose worked for them, whether it works for you, and choosing to present your best self. Meanwhile, Sean Ray's insight underscores that sometimes you don't realize a pose misfits your physique until the photo or video says so. In bodybuilding, as in art, authenticity beats imitation every time.